Hello again and welcome back to another one. And today we have a couple of topics to cover, from one that shows music fans give a nice FU to the legacy media staff who have been coming up with rap albums of the year lists and hottest rappers of the year lists. And like we covered in previous videos, for the most part they've pretended like Eminem wasn't killing it throughout 2024. And now we've got a full picture of how things went down thanks to latest reports that dropped a few hours ago, and we'll be exploring some highlights in a moment. Today we also have one that raised eyebrows on the web when Jelly Roll spoke about how the Eminem collaboration happened, and he also briefly spoke about the Eminem vs MGK feud before MGK packed his bags and headed into other genres to seek greener pastures. And on a side note, we got some more clarity on a debate that was on a few weeks ago when Joe Budden's co-host tried to downplay Eminem by claiming that even M wouldn't be able to do a solo stadium tour. And like we already explored a few days back, when the facts showed otherwise, Joe's co-host began to backpedal and move the goalpost when he later claimed that he was only talking about stadiums in the United States. And today we got Jelly Roll shed some light on this hilarious misfire from Joe Budden's co-host, and we'll get to more on this later. And today we'll be starting with the latest year-end report from the two biggest platforms in music, YouTube and Spotify. And just like it was in 2023, we got a repeat of the top two biggest rap/hip-hop artists in the world. Drake came in at number 1 with 14.84 billion streams, Eminem at number 2 with 13.58 billion, Ye at 3 with 11.27 billion, Travis at 4 with 11.27 billion, Kendrick at 5 with 9.32 billion, and Metro at 6 with 7.86 billion. And speaking on the Spotify year-end report specifically, these are the only 6 rap/hip-hop artists to cross the 5 billion threshold for streams on Spotify, and this is based on lead credits, which is officially what Spotify uses to rank artists on their platform, contrary to some other reports out there that includes all credits. But even with that being said, all credits included, Drake and Eminem remain the top 2 biggest rappers of 2024 on Spotify and YouTube combined, and this sparked reactions like hilarious when people try to say M is washed. The numbers speak for themselves. Now this isn't just about the numbers. The death of Slim Shady opened to overwhelmingly positive reception from fans. In fact, based on this metric, ChatGPT was asked to rank the album, and it came in at number 4 just based off fan reception. But guess what happened? Towards the end of 2024, the staff writers for most legacy media outlets pretended like Eminem wasn't cooking in 2024. For instance, Billboard staff totally ignored everything M dropped, and he wasn't even nominated for a single hip-hop category for their year-end awards and year-end lists. Rolling Stone did the same when their staff dropped the year-end list, only for music fans to tell them to shove it, seeing as Eminem ended up with a bigger year than every rapper who isn't named Drake. An ish like this is why Eminem rapped about how they want him gone away on Unaccommodating. It is no conspiracy, as if it were possible for them to write away his career, the legacy media staff would have done it 2 decades ago. And moving on, we got one that raised eyebrows on the web, all thanks to Jelly Roll's latest interview on the Flagrant podcast, as he was asked about how the collab happened, since he worked with both Eminem and MGK around the same time frame, and this was how it went. Check out a snippet.
You also have a song with Eminem.
Yeah.
So talented that you are positioned in between both of them, and they're like, I still want to work with Jelly Roll. How do you manage that?
Man, the first thing is honesty, right? You got to come into both parties honest. So Paul is, and I always bring up Paul in interviews because I feel like he never gets brought up enough.
Paul Rosenberg.
Paul Rosenberg has been
Yeah.
Eminem's manager since Eminem's had a manager. He's had like the same 4 people around him for his entire career.
Wow.
So you don't really talk to, he's the wizard, man. He's the biggest selling artist of our generation. He sold more records than Elvis. I mean, it's insane when you think about how big, you don't really get to see the wizard a lot, but I've seen the wizard now and hung out with him, and he's a fucking great guy. Paul has always been trying to get me and him together. Every time I've seen Paul, he's like, if Marshall don't understand anybody else, he's going to get you. When he gets you, he's going to get you. So like Paul has been that champion for me the whole way. So Paul calls and he's like, send me the Save Me record. He's like, send the stems to the Save Me record. He calls John Manili, my manager. Now keep in mind, John Manili managed Jay for a while. So they've already worked. They're friends for real for 30 years now. So he hits John Manili. He's like, yo, send over Save Me. I think Marshall wants to fuck with it. Wow. And that's all he said. So you know me, I'm like, I'm fixing to get an Eminem remix. Like, he's just going to drop a verse in my lap one day. Like, I don't know when and I don't care. Whenever it comes, just thank you, God. I had already told Kells that story back then. And Kells is a real friend. You know, where Kells is just like, yo, that's huge. Keep me posted. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's cheering for me. Like, at heart, his heart is like, you know what I mean? Like, yo, man, you don't have a problem.
Kells being MGK.
Kells being MGK. He's like, yo, you don't have a problem. So this is like, I probably shouldn't timestamp it too much, but this is 18 months ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I get to the point, I don't think it's coming.
Yeah.
I'm kind of just like, it didn't happen. It's whatever. You know, it works. And then I get the call. It's like, yo, it's going on the record. It's closing the record. I'm like, what? Second single. They want to shoot a video. Now, keep in mind, me and Kells we hung out at the Grammys, and he had played me the idea for Lonely Road that night. So this is, 3-4 months after me and Kells have already worked on 2 or 3 records together. We're hanging out every day. So me and him are hanging every day, and I'm like, yo, this Eminem thing's real. I was like, it's fixing to come out. Now, on the other side, John's having to do straight business with Paul. Like, hey, Paul, Kells and Jelly have known each other for 15 years on and off. They were beefing. Jelly dissed him. I was a hater back then. It's a whole other fun story. It's like, but they're buddies. And here's where Paul's a good dude, too. Paul's like, yo, man, we love Jelly, man. Just appreciate you telling us.
Yeah.
Never got brought up.
However, it was this next segment that raised eyebrows on the web when he spoke about what he'd love to see in the future moving forward between M and MGK. Check out a snippet.
My heart is always to bring them together one day because I see so much more of them in each other than they know. You know what I mean? Now, I hadn't really brought it up to Marshall yet because I'm still kind of glad that I'm still in that circumference to be able to have them conversations. Yeah. But I do see there's so much more in them than not. But like I also gave Kells some perspective too, it's like we all grew up watching Eminem take over the game early. Like if you got mentioned in an Eminem song, it was like getting mentioned in a comedy special.
Yeah.
You were on fucking fire.
Yeah.
You couldn't be hotter if you got mentioned in an Eminem special or an HBO special. Here's how I feel. Look, man, they're going to get together one day eventually. It's inevitable. The world's a circle. You know what I mean? And I think that they're going to find each other's heart more than they don't. And if they never do connect that way, I think that it did more for both of them than it did to hurt either one of them. What MGK did after that, I don't think had anything to do with the beef as much as just heart. It was the mainstream sellout and Tickets to My Downfall that changed. We're talking about a couple of the biggest albums of this generation in pop punk and punk rock and maybe in rock and roll, like new music from new recording artists in 10 years of rock music.
And boy, fans were quick to call him out on social media. The user expanded, for instance. Jelly Roll trying to revive MGK's career. No thanks. And it seems his grifting in the pop punk space isn't going too well right now, as if you recall, MGK tried to put one foot back into the hip-hop genre with what turned out to be probably the worst album of 2024, genre Sad Boy with Trippie Redd.
Oh boy! Oh God! Why didn't anybody tell me?
And we got more. Don't get involved at Jelly Roll. It is not happening in a million years, and we don't want it. That PDF file used M for attention and clout and sexualized underage Haley. You don't come back from that. And better yet, people need to remember why MGK was bold enough to diss M in the first place, as this was a time when a lot of hip-hop fans on social media turned on M after Revival dropped. So MGK saw this as a good opportunity to pounce, thinking things were gonna go his way. So this gave him the false confidence he needed to start something. And remember, Tyler the Creator was also on this wave back then, but Tyler, unlike MGK, was smart enough to walk away. But MGK decided to play with fire, got burned, and sent packing to other genres. Simple as that. And we got more. As much as I genuinely respect Jelly Roll for his craft, please do not get involved, revived, or even disrespect the dead, because it won't end well. I guess dead in this case would be MGK's rap career. And to be fair, during the podcast, Jelly Roll was well aware of the fact that talking about this was a slippery slope that could affect him, so he was as careful as he could be. And I have to agree with this about M and MGK's non-relationship right now. Leave it the way it is. There's absolutely nothing an MGK and M squash will do for the game and for themselves. And this reaction got me rolling. Unless MGK shows some remorse for disrespecting Haley and also throwing subs at M, I can't see how the beef can end. MGK is an arrogant, whiny clown, and also Diddy's his boy. There's nothing in his personality I think M could appreciate, to be frank. And that's the thing, Diddy's case is far from over, and since MGK was his boy, we don't know what will be uncovered about said boy in the future. So if anything, getting closer to MGK at this point may not be the brightest of ideas for anyone. And on a side note, when they spoke about how MGK sought greener pastures in the pop-punk/rock space, we got to hear Jelly Roll's take on if Eminem could do a stadium tour. Check out a snippet.
I saw him become an arena act rock star.
Yeah.
So something must have been resonating with the rock music on a different level than rap. I also think it's hard to be like an arena rap star. Like, how many arena rap acts are there? M's like stadium. If
Yeah,
you want
Eminem
it.
Stadium's for sure. Eminem Stadium.
But like arenas around like Drake.
Hold on, let's go a step deeper. Eminem's a +1 at most stadiums.
So he can do 2 stadium shows.
What? He's a +1 at most stadiums in America.
That's like Taylor Swift shit.
Yeah,
Like,
100%.
And it is crazy because Joe Budden's co-host was out here putting every rapper in a box of what they can and cannot do, all because a user told him that Kendrick Lamar couldn't do a stadium tour solo, and he forgot that M did this in the past and lumped all rappers in the same boat. But that will be all for today, and I'll be looking forward to your thoughts. Thanks for watching, and see you on the next one.